Has been 453 days since now 16-year-old Sebastian Rogers vanished from his home in Hendersonville. His disappearance sparked national headlines, but now his father says the case is losing momentum. With National Missing Children's Day coming up on Sunday, he is raising his voice and demanding urgency. News 2's Caitlin.
I went and talked to neighbors, and every single one of them, every single one, welcomed me. And if they had video surveillance, they gave it to me. The only person that would not talk to me, as the only person that had something to hide and wouldn't talk to me. You know, she has a son that's hiding and waiting for somebody in the dark, late night on the 25th, and there needs to be some explaining for that. I'll just leave it at that.
That we are going to keep searching, we are going to keep looking, we are going to find him, and we are going to bring him home.
Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said no evidentiary value.
It is of no evidentiary value. It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No.
Why?
Because the investigation remains ongoing.
Yeah, I'm working on behalf of Sebastian. I am not, my client is Sebastian, and they're the guardians that have the ability to sign.
It just started. Hi Dad, I know this has been a family, but tomorrow's picture day. So could you send some decent clothes over to me so that I can wear the decent clothes and be handsome for my birthday if we don't have decent clothes? Mom!
Because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Look at this motherfucker, y'all. Can you see him?
I always mean to cut this part out. Give me 1 second. Let me know how I sound in chat. Just this mic here. I know. I get that every time. It's such a good cover. It fits perfect with this tragedy. Let me get this fixed here. Let me know how the stream is and everything. YouTube's kind of updated some things. So hopefully the stream is smooth. I sound okay. Just let me know. Give me a thumbs up or one in chat. Let's see. Okay, that looks, yeah, raise it just a little bit more here. Sound is fine. All right, awesome. Okay, so I think now Sebastian Rogers has been missing. I got to look it up. I think nearly almost 600 days. I think it's close. I think a little bit lower than that. Anybody in chat? I know I could probably just Google it, but it's almost like 600, somewhere around in there. I cannot believe it. How time flies. So today's video, or today's live, we're going to go over, I wouldn't say like a new theory, but kind of provide evidence to back up this theory as much as we can. Did he actually even make it home from the Texas Roadhouse? And there are a lot of clues, including the phone call with the PI, former PI, Heather, with Chris and KK. Then we also have some rumors that I have heard before, but don't know the validity of them, which is in the video allegedly. And let me know in chat if somebody knows where I could find maybe where maybe Seth had said something about this. Is that in where he's taking out the trash? Allegedly, this person was wearing a hoodie. I've heard that before, but not a lot. So I've never really talked about that, but it is an interesting, if that is true, does raise just more red flags to this case. If you've heard of that, let me know in chat. But we'll kind of go over what that rumor is and then kind of go over the theory that would kind of help support that as well. So let me just make sure the stream is going okay. All right. And huge shout out to my wonderful mods, Jennifer D, Sensei. God bless you guys. Melanie, thank you so much for the 6 months. You do good work, Chris. I appreciate the love and support from you and to everybody in the chat. God bless. All right, let's get into this. And yeah, just let me know in chat if you've heard about the alleged person taking out the trash can that they were wearing a hoodie. Because again, I've heard it once or twice, but I'll kind of go over where I've heard it from a source that I would say is fairly legit. Now, it doesn't come from Seth, but it could have. But I don't know if it's there. But so, of course, just a huge shout out to Silver's on the Scene, because this is something he talked about in a video that he posted about a month ago. So I'm kind of piggybacking off this video that he did, not this exact video, but I just want to give him a shout out, of course. Roxy says, yes, Seth mentioned it. He said the video was grainy to tell if it was Sebastian. Yeah, that part is true. But I wonder, is there a clip of Seth actually saying that that person was wearing a hoodie? Unless this was kind of talked about, off camera, but certain people have been told about that, because I have heard that, and it's interesting because of what allegedly happened in that video, and we'll kind of go deeper into that as well.
So her producer, Rachel, at the time.
So let's
literally
start out with Chris's theory. Obviously, this was I believe October of last year with Sheila and Fred. I'm not going to play the whole interview. We've done that before, but let's just remind everybody what Chris's theory was, which, again, is the only time we ever hear him talk about a theory besides Sebastian just walking out, and how he's confident on the second scenario.
I'm only down to 2 scenarios here.
Okay.
And they, what I feel probably the most reasonable in my head that makes sense. So the first one is very simple.
Okay.
Sebastian.
So just for context, this is Sheila and Fred, the Hatfield and McCoy Adventures YouTube channel. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Lovely couple. They've been out there independently searching, and then had this phone call. And I think the story is, if you guys don't know, this phone call was from last year, I think in October. Correct me if I'm wrong. They had it this whole time. They just released it like a couple of months ago. Very fascinating stuff, because it's completely different from the narratives that we always hear from, when he's on other channels. But I guess I think they thought they had lost this interview that they recorded, and then recently found it and then uploaded it. So keep in mind, this is I know it's last year. I think it was October-ish.
Got up, walked out of the house, walked out in the woods. He's out there somewhere, and we can't find him.
Okay.
That's the simple one.
That's
right.
Sometimes simple is the way it is, but go ahead.
Now the second one, Sebastian walked out of the house. Either it was planned or he was lured out of the house, or something triggered him to leave out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And walked out of the house. I personally feel he got to Long Hole Pike, and he got picked up in a car, and they headed westbound on Long Hole Pike.
Wow.
And westbound goes to I-65. Now, there's a license plate reader on Long Hole Pike that goes, if you're traveling eastward, so if you're coming from Goodlettsville going toward Gallatin down Long Hole Pike, there's a license plate reader right there. And 76 cars from the hours of midnight to 6 a.m. were registered on that LPR.
LPR stands for license plate reader, which is right here at this intersection. This is the Beach High School, and this is kind of like, I don't know if major intersection, but a big intersection here that does have a license plate reader, and it does appear to be, it's facing east. I don't know if they have more set up, like another one. It doesn't look like it, but they could, and it's just kind of hard to see. But it's definitely apparent that they have at the very least one that's pointing east on Long Hollow Pike. And of course, we've talked about this before, but it's very interesting that he knows about, 72 cars allegedly between midnight and 6 a.m. or something like that. I don't know how you'd get that information unless you got it from law enforcement, which tells me that they were definitely looking at that angle of him being abducted. Why else would you be looking at that kind of evidence?
Wow.
So,
yeah,
all of those cars have been accounted for. Now, what has not been accounted for is if you were traveling westbound, so if you were going from Gallatin to Goodlettsville, the one camera that could have picked anything up was not working. Hadn't been working for 3 years, and that's at.
And that would be direction if he was coming from Memphis. That would be the direction he'd be coming from. So, just coincidentally, the camera that's on the west side, further west on this other intersection, which I'll pull up Google Maps. So here's the one that we're talking about, east, but obviously Memphis is west, and I'm not sure if it's, I think it is, it might be, yeah, because he says Goodlettsville right here, so it might be a camera, which I'm sure there's probably some cameras up here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but I'm sure we'd probably come across some cameras. That's a pretty major intersection there. But anyway, not to get sidetracked, but anyway, obviously that would be as he's coming into his city, that would be the way he'd be coming from. So coincidentally, that camera wasn't working. Kind of interesting that he knows those facts, if that's true. Kind of scary.
Long Hollow Pike and New Shackle, right there at the corner by the school. Like as we all used to do as kids, where we just walk off in the woods and we just didn't care and walk our way back home. No, we used to go hiking.
Okay. All right. So. Oops. Okay. So before we get on to the main theory, which I'm just kind of allowing people to come in, and thank you to everybody. If you can, please hit that like button. You keep his name out there. Keep fighting for Sebastian Rogers. Never know. He could still be out there alive, possibly trafficked. So, of course, the FBI put out a statement. Everybody's covered this. I just want to touch on one thing. I've already gone over how ridiculous they actually put in, the reason why this rumor, is flawed is because they created an overlay of security footage in the daylight with the topographical map. That is absolutely ridiculous when you clearly just released showing that you have the original footage, and all you'd have to do is just show a screenshot from the day, the morning of, or the morning before, or after, just a day shot, right? And that would shut everybody up if it was, you couldn't see the yard, this wasn't the Proudfoot's, yard back here. But obviously, it's ridiculous. Then we got the green hoodie, which I think the green hoodie is definitely in play for sure. We've kind of gone over how ridiculous different things. Then there's this. So before we get into the hoodie theory, I just wanted to point out something else that I discovered. I was thinking, they'd have to go through this particular family, would have to go through the footage. And unlike, those other like homes that have the Ring cameras, which have like the motion activated recording events, a lot of them have 24-hour surveillance, but they also have, whenever there's events, those are stored separately, and usually it's a minute, or if it's really quick, it's 12 to 48 seconds. I forget all the exact minutia, but this camera obviously is just recording 24/7. So they would have to have gone through this footage, right, to actually find anything. And, it would have, obviously, running through 6 hours, that's a lot of time. And, something like this only happens in a span of, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, give or take. But I think, obviously, one of the big things is the motion light detector going off would definitely catch their attention. But I think even before they saw the flashlights, I think after they saw the motion sensor detected, they would have seen this right here, which is a car turning on its lights. We've shown this. We explained, how else would this back of the truck light up simultaneously as we have lights, which appears to be a vehicle. And this is just illuminating part of the road. And that's part of the taillight. But it's kind of funny now if you think about it. The main thing that they probably were focused on originally, and I'm just speculating, would be the car, right? That's the biggest thing in this video. But the flashlights end up being the main narrative, where this is just as big, if not bigger, because you have this car acting super sus as it's pulling up, activating the motion light camera, and then waiting for that motion camera to turn off, and then turning on its lights, and then causing the motion sensor to kick back on as it backs up. Pretty sus. So I think it's interesting that they would, it's always the 3M flashlights, but, why don't they talk about the elephant in the room, which is this big giant thing that's illuminating in the middle of everything on the road. I do find that interesting. He says, Chris Proudfoot asked another YouTuber to go search for Sebastian. I told him not to go. I don't trust. Yeah, why? So, if I get a chance, Nadia, you bring up a great point. And I was listening to a guy that's, has expertise in search and rescue. And he kind of talked about some of the negatives about, having independent searchers come in. I mean, because obviously they might not be running the app which tracks your GPS movement, and usually I'm trying to think of the name of it. I know it starts with a T. But yeah, you wouldn't, if they're not running their GPS and stuff, that's always helpful because then you store all that data into the main search grid. Just kind of like what we did with Aiden. Every time we go out there, we try. It's kind of hard with the Aiden Clune case because out there's not a lot of service. Although you can pre-download the map, and so it does work if you remind yourself to pre-download an area that you're going to go into that doesn't have service, then it still will kind of give you a GPS. But yeah, if you have independent searchers kind of coming in there, and let's say if you have somebody that's not as experienced with search and rescue and looking for items, maybe they come across a blanket, and of course they're just trying to do a good deed, but maybe they handle it without gloves, maybe not take the proper precautions, maybe come across, I don't think you didn't have a cell phone, but a shoe or something, and they handle it. not realizing that they could be contaminating evidence. So it's kind of a catch-22 there, where that's why it makes no sense why Crispy and Katie are not, at the very least, not them having at least somebody that they hired to conduct these searches. It blows my mind. But continuing on, and again, we're going to get to the hoodie thing and everything and the new theory. But let me show you something. I did find another clue. It's nothing big, but I did want to show this because, again, it just shows you just what you can do with a screenshot. Imagine if I or anybody else that's tenacious wants to find clues. Imagine if we actually had the video. But anyway, the original video, I mean. But something stuck out to me that I did want to kind of point out. Yeah, exactly, Marie. Right. And again, that's a catch-22. And I wish I had time to find that video of the guy talking about, kind of the issues with having these independent people come in. Of course, they're all coming in with great intentions. And I'm sure a lot of them, like I know Silvers, I know he, when he finds stuff, I think he does it proper. I'm sure he's, not picking up and handling things. I'm sure he's, trying to do it, trying not to contaminate whatever he may find. Bliss blessing. Sebastian deserves justice. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much, Bliss, for the 7 months. God bless you. Rachel 508. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. God bless. Why can't I? Oh, there we go. Roxy, I hope you're feeling better. Blessings. Yeah, kind of had a rough weekend. I had a doctor's appointment on Tuesday, and then I had to go get a blood panel yesterday. So, and that was a nightmare. I won't get into that, but yeah. So it kind of bummed me out that I've been out for so long. Oh, me, justice for Sebastian. Good to see you. Thank you so much for the $20. And for those that watched my Daniel Robinson thing that we did last week, we are going to do another 2 more parts. Maybe hopefully by this weekend we'll do part 2. But within a week we'll definitely have part 2 out. And then we'll have a part 3 where maybe we can have some people come on. But I don't want to get too distracted on that. But yes, for the Daniel Robinson case, we are going to dive deeper and eventually get into some motives, which we have found some very disturbing motives. Okay, like I said, we'll get to the theories here in a minute, but I want to show this so we can kind of debunk another debunk for the clown Steve Fishsticks. So I was looking at this. Of course, this is the thing that was released by FBI. This is the original footage, a still shot. And as you can see in the corner, let me just move it here. Again, this isn't nothing groundbreaking clue, but it is something that just also I can show that, again, if I had the time, I could debunk Fishsticks, when they went out there and tried to recreate everything. It was an absolute nightmare. And clearly, in my opinion, allegedly, they had an agenda. So as you can see, there's something here, and we're going to zoom in on this. I thought this was a little bit faster. Now, this is an AI-enhanced version of it. Now, I realized when I did that, it does clear some things up, but if you're familiar with AI, it tends to kind of smooth the pixels out. Which when I started zooming in on the enhanced one, I'm like, this doesn't quite, it kind of takes away from the, what would be the best word, the overall tone of this item, this piece of well, I want to give it away. But does anybody have an idea of what this is? Do you notice how it's in a straight line, right? Sorry, I thought I had this going a little bit faster. So as you can see here, anybody, let me know in chat if you guys kind of figured out. I apologize if you're on your phone. But does anyone have an idea of what this line is? And start to kind of go over some details and see if we get it in chat. But we know that we have a light source that kicked on from the motion sensor. Now we can see that obviously part of the Dodge vehicle has been illuminated a little bit. Then we have a bunch of shadows because obviously we're looking at the other side. So obviously the light source is now being blocked due to the vehicle. So we can see a bit of the front. I'm sure if we were to go around the Dodge, we would see, more of the Dodge lit up. But there's this little piece right here that is very interesting, right in a perfect straight line. And so here's me putting a yellow line there, right below it. Yeah, it's a Challenger. I always say Challenger or Charger because I'm dyslexic and I'll flip them. So I just say Dodge. But yes, this is... Oh, I'm sorry. Jumping ahead here. And then we'll get into the theory. But I just wanted to show this. Just another reason to debunk this nonsense about the point of view from the camera. So... if you notice, let's quickly, see more dates. There we go. Okay. So this kind of better depicts where at least the Dodge was sitting here. It wasn't quite exactly as far up. It was a little bit back. And the Dodge here was actually, because they had a different boat, and it was moved back just a little bit. So you can imagine there's a light source coming, but a lot of good part of the Dodge is kind of blocking it. But there's a little bit of light. And as you notice, look at the driveway, and then look at... that there. Anybody now know what that is? What we're looking at? Notice how it's just a perfect line right here. And it's kind of got some grit to it. And I am 99% sure what that is. And then of course the Dodge, as you can see here, it's backed up a little bit more over from than what we see in this shot from Google Earth. It's a little bit more to the right because obviously they have that other boat that's not as big, and then they have the other Dodge, and so that's backed over a little bit more. So anybody see what that is? So what that is, in my opinion, that is the concrete right at the edge. Because remember, you got a light source. Remember, this car is moved over a little bit and it's backed up. And we're seeing just enough of the concrete. And then keep in mind, because it's fall, as you can see, here's one where it's taken in February. Notice how this lip from the driveway here is a little bit raised up because the grass is obviously kind of more dead. It's winter time. And I believe what we're looking at is just the very edge, because remember the light is mostly being blocked by the Dodge, but there's a little bit of light probably behind the trunk that is coming through and is actually capturing just the edge of that concrete driveway. Now, obviously, the reason why I won't see any more of this is because the Dodge is obviously blocking the lighting. But we just have enough light source that comes over probably the back of the Camaro with the trunk. And as you can see, the grit. And notice, it's just a perfect line. And remember, this is going downwards. Because remember, we've got a camera that's set at an angle with a driveway that is angled down. It's really, kind of a tough perspective because of the way the camera and driveway and everything. But I would bet the farm, that is the edge of the driveway. And the reason why we don't see ink, because obviously the lighting would go past this in theory. Obviously, I'm sure it would start to dim out as you're further away from the lighting. But I think because obviously the concrete is going to have a little bit more reflective properties, right? Versus dead grass and stuff. Now, I know this isn't like mind-blowing, but I want to point this out just to show you another... Right. Yeah, the grass, yeah. So this is actually part of the concrete, but on the other side would be the grass. But obviously, you think about everything has every type of element, items, whatever, have different reflective properties. Obviously, the concrete would likely have more reflective properties versus grass, especially if it's dead. So the reason I bring this up, and then we'll start getting into the hoodie theory, and if he made it home, is what I'm trying to point out is this is the edge of the driveway, right? This is what I'm trying to kind of point out. So we know where that edge of the driveway is. We can kind of draw that yellow line and say, look, we know that we can see the edge of the driveway. Then let me remind people of what Fish Sticks did when they went out there and did their amazing, recreation. And Fish Sticks had the cojones to, claim what the field of view on this camera is. And he tried to claim that, it's up to maybe like 70 to 80% field of view. But when you pull up all the details from that camera and everything, this thing can go up to 100 degrees of field of view. So if you look at, and this is straight from Fish Sticks, if you look and you zoom in and you just see the absolute atrocities that he wants to point out, because he wants to clearly show that there is, again, this just shows that he's, in my opinion, he's working for Crispy and KK, and they want that narrative that, no, this isn't looking towards their backyard. And it's so stupid because as you zoom in, this is what he put out. I have the tweet, but I couldn't find it. It's just as absurd of what he explains in that. But he is basically saying, in a nutshell, that this is what the field of view is. Because if you think about it, he cuts like half the driveway, right? If we look at that, should have just had this zoomed in. But if you notice down here, he literally cuts half the driveway out. But we know, with that little bit of research that I did, again, it's not like huge mind-blowing. Good to see you, Jack. God bless everybody. I'll try to stop here and read some chat here in just a minute. But again, he put this out on Twitter saying, like, look, this is, presenting this as almost like facts. Not speculation like we try to do on this channel. We try to, clearly clarify that we're, we take some evidence and then we kind of break down theories from that. But, how absurd it is for him to claim that we're looking at half the driveway, but we can clearly see the edge of the driveway. I mean, look at where the Dodge is at. And then if you look at, I mean, we know the Dodge is right here. And if you put 2 and 2 together, now obviously remember the truck and the boat is different. So it's backed up a little bit more. So the Camaro is a little bit shifted over. And what we're seeing is a piece of that concrete reflecting due to it being February. The grass is obviously wintertime, and you can even see how it's kind of raised up a little bit of a lip versus the grass, which would make sense. And then obviously I would think the concrete would have a much more reflective properties versus kind of dead grass. So again, that is what he's trying to tell people. Because remember, he doesn't even have the floodlights from that home in his version of the field of view, which is just atrocious. Or he has it just barely cut in there, I guess. But again, absolutely absurd. Again, I could spend days, weeks pulling different ways to debunk the nonsense that they put out to try to claim that there's just no way we're looking at the Proudfoot's home. All right, so let's start moving our way towards the
believe that
the hoodie. Okay, so before we get there, let's quickly mention this. So I'm going to play okay, so this came from the FBI. And I've always, and if you guys have followed me, I've always had such a big issue with this flashlight and how they knew so fast that this was missing. So let me read the quote and then show you its signs of when this was officially the first time that we know, at least via social media, that they knew about this alleged flashlight. So in that FBI statement, it says, Sebastian did not take any clothes, shoes, money, food, or his cell phone, said Carter. His cell phone and cash were lying both on the dining room table where they had been there before when he went to bed. According to KK, there was a small yellow flashlight she thinks, keep in mind, she thinks was missing. But that was the only thing that appeared to be gone to the home from the home. And I've always just had such a huge issue of how they would have known something so small would have been missing so fast. Daisy Duke, you got to remember, in the very beginning, law enforcement went around to the family members, even people in the neighborhood, and told them that this footage was pointing towards another way and it was not towards their common area, and that this was a trash truck. And yes, I think it was on Pascal. He mentioned that. Keep in mind, that is what they told them. And so, again, this is early days, and so you can't blame him for quoting something that was told to him by law enforcement. But I could debunk this in 1,000 different ways. I've done, I don't know how many videos showing the atrocities that Fisher has put out, trying to build a narrative that it's not. And that is not the case. It is an absolute lie. So keep in mind, that was something that they were told in the beginning, and they quoted that. That doesn't make it true. They're just quoting what they were told. This is a little bit before, Seth started, kind of putting things together that weren't adding up. They showed him the footage. Yeah. Daisy, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong on all that. Keep in mind, this is early days. And who's to say, okay, we know the flashlights and there's the vehicle, right? Nobody talks about the vehicle, right? Huge elephant in the room. Why aren't we talking about the vehicle? Screw the flashlights. We've been talking about that forever. What about this damn vehicle, right? Why not talk about that? Forget those lights that whatever where they're at. What about the vehicle that is literally right there, acting completely suspicious? So it does make me wonder, just like anything can be taken out of context, what did they really show him? Did they show him something zoomed in, said, hey, this is what it is? And, he's, thinking they're being truthful and they're trying to be helpful, and they, are misleading him. Maybe in a way that they don't want that flashlight and the vehicle out there because they, obviously in the early days, I understand they wouldn't want that out there because, they don't want to spook the person that had the car. If they have some idea of what that car is, they don't want somebody, if that was involved, to get rid of that vehicle or whatever. So I understand why they would try not to show him stuff that's going to clearly start having him questioning what's going on. Exactly, Ruru. Like, screw the flashlights. What about the vehicle? Right? Screw the alleged garbage truck trash lights, which is so absurd. But anyway, let's get back to the flashlight. And then we'll get into this. Yeah, Susan, we're going to go over, again, I'm kind of building off my narrative from what I heard from Silvers and kind of building, what evidence that we do have to kind of support that theory. So if anybody doesn't know the keychain flashlight and just kind of what it looked like, we'll go into that in just a minute. So this post was by her sister, Melissa Nicole Proudfoot Svensson. This was posted on the 27th, right? So the 26th, they're looking for him. So this has been posted on the 27th. So this is day 2. Day 2. I know it's hard to read, so I've got a better version of it here. Let me read this just to show you that we know this came from day 2. Hey everyone, this is my nephew. Excuse me. He is a high-functioning verbal autistic. He walked out of the house in the middle of the night with his glasses, a small flashlight, and no shoes. Boom. He walked out, middle of the night, glasses, a small flashlight. We have been searching since 6:30 a.m. yesterday. Remember, that's when Katie left and then started driving around. So all that is, allegedly true. But clearly, she says since yesterday, which means this post and when it was written means this was on day 2. So by day 2 or earlier, even day 1 maybe, how would they know? Like, remember, we hear that when they go to the house, they're, when Seth showed up, I think it was 7 or 8 o'clock a.m. And, when he went in, she was sitting down with other people and they were talking. So keep in mind, they're probably doing a lot of interviews I would just like to know, when did they have the time to really scour his bedroom? And then on top of that, if anybody who doesn't know what the keychain flashlight looks like, this is it, right? And just to show you how big one of these things are, obviously it goes on your keychain. And there's a good perfect example of scale, so you can see somebody holding it in their hands. This is a very small piece of device. And again, we've never seen pictures of the bedroom, which is another huge major red flag. But it just makes me wonder, how in the hell... And again, this is not his bedroom, because of course, from what I've heard, they did not want anybody, going into the bedroom. But, this is just kind of, I just looked up on Google, kind of a basic teenager. I would think it would be fairly organized, due to their, with Proudfoots, and the way the stepfather is pretty strict. But, it'd be something like this, with his toys and stuff. And keep in mind, you've got this tiny little flashlight. And how in the hell would they know that is missing? Not to say it's not possible. Like, let's say maybe he kept it, maybe he's got like a keychain thing on his wall, and that's where he always keeps it. And she went in and noticed that's gone. That's always a possibility, but at the same time, it just, again, how do they not know it's like under the bed or in his sheets or in a drawer somewhere? Just find it fascinating. And I think it was used, again, no surprise. I think they knew that there was going to be a flashlight video out there. And I think this would be that perfect kind of supporting narrative that, oh, look, there's, a flashlight moving around at 3 a.m. But I emphasize that I think they screwed it up because there's clearly two people. So one of the videos, I'm hoping maybe tomorrow I get it out. It's just going to be a video. And this is the phone call that I talked about last time. This is with Heather Cohen, early days, and she's just there. Remember, she's hired by Seth, and she's contacted Chris and Katie. Chris does 99% of the talking, but Katie's in there in the background. And she's just trying to get the timeline, right? But it's like pulling teeth. There are a lot of little areas where... because clearly I think it originally came from Justin Clutch and Pearls. I have asked him if he could send me the original phone call. He said he had looked. I haven't heard back. I understand he's probably really busy. So it sounds like he was kind of playing something here. And so obviously, recording's not the best. And then of course, I could not find his original video. If anybody knows the video that he did that on, could send me the link. That would be awesome. I know I got most of it, but I know there's a little bit more. But I really I've adjusted it and enhanced it, but there's still some more parts that I feel like I could enhance. So we'll go a little bit over this because this is going to lead into this theory about whether he made it home. Mama Bear, maybe Melissa was repeating, and some people think that maybe it was actually Katie that wrote that, but I'm not sure. Yes, and then, I forgot to mention that. Another thing, they mention a car, right? Thank you, Neuro, for mentioning that. I completely forgot. That is another thing that she mentioned. She's worried he got in the back seat of a car and fell asleep and woke up after someone got to their job and got out of the car. How in the hell would they not notice there's some kid sleeping in the back of the car? I'd say anything's possible, but I mean, come on. But I do think that's interesting. Here we are mentioning a vehicle. And then we have Chris with that interview in October mentioning, yeah, I think he got in a vehicle on Long Hollow Pike. Coincidence? I think not. Okay.
Most of my information from,
So I try to add subtitles. They are not 100% because, again, I'm working with somebody recording a phone call from this, and I couldn't find Justin's, so I had to find another person who's playing it, and I'm grateful for them doing that. But, you know, you have Justin kind of, you know, stopping and giving some of his thoughts, which, again, that's, you know, that's what I'd be doing, obviously. But I'm trying to cut all that out so it's just the phone call, and then try to, you know, because there's a lot of parts where, you know, Katie's very soft, and then Chris and Katie kind of get into it. Some interesting stuff, but there's a few things that they mentioned in this that we haven't talked about. And then again, this is leading into, did he even make it home?
I know that, I know about y'all going to BJ's. I know about y'all going to Strike and Spare, and I know y'all picked up Melissa's daughter.
And say, well, hold on. See, this is where your information is wrong.
Okay.
I did not pick up Melissa's daughter.
First, let me correct you.
I thought that was on an interview. Didn't y'all say?
No, hold on. Let's change.
Ma'am.
I need you to change your words.
Okay.
Well, that's why we're.
So yeah, I am gonna upload this as a video. I would love, it'd be nice if I can like fix this up enough and get subtitles the best I can. I won't be able to get everything because some things are hard, but it would be nice to get this video. Like I said, I've enhanced it, but there's a lot more to do. And it would be nice to, after I do that, upload it and then maybe ask if Deception Detective would be interested in, giving his thoughts on that. That would be so cool.
Talking so we can clear things, figure things out.
Vetted, that has been proven, proof of life, all that bullshit.
Right, yeah.
So we're not going to go over the whole phone call. We've kind of gone over that before. There are some spots where I'm like, because I've tweaked it a little bit since the last time. There's a lot more that I've got to tweak. But there are some interesting things in here.
Yeah. Now, they go to BJ's. They leave BJ's.
Sebastian and I leave BJ's. Your sisters went their own way.
Yeah, it's certainly possible, Sugar
They
Bee.
left BJ's.
Certainly.
It's just me and Mom with the phone together.
So you and Sebastian leave BJ's.
Okay, because I don't have actual times.
Listen.
Can I get a timeline on that?
I don't remember the exact.
I'll give you an on or about.
How do you not know, maybe not the exact time, but how do you not know some of these approximate times? Especially, you're going to learn here in a second. They talk about Life 360. If you're not familiar with that, we'll just quickly touch on that a little bit. But again, this is going to lead into a side theory about him maybe not making it home, and then putting all the evidence that we have together. And it does kind of make sense.
I can't give you an exact time.
So
used your Live 360 to give exact timestamps to the law enforcement.
So right there, she just said we used Life 360 to get all the timestamps and everything to law enforcement. So again, I would think that she probably had, at the very least, looked at this stuff, so she would have an idea of some of these timestamps, I would think. But keep the Life 360, and if you don't know what that is, we'll kind of explain that. But it's basically based off an app on your phone that has GPS. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it, for sure. But there are ways to get around and hack this Life 360.
It was before noon.
Gotcha. Okay. Noon at BJ's.
Yes.
Law enforcement has the literal,
We have been told we are not to give out exact times. Directly from law enforcement, we're not breaking that. But
Yeah.
they literally used my 360 and they got the timestamp. That route I took, they knew how fast I went. They knew if I did any stops, which I didn't. They know, they literally know every detail because we have upgraded 360. So they literally.
Thank you, Hindsight. Good to see you.
With a camera. Yeah, the dash cam.
It's not a dash cam.
Oh.
That's so weird how he says that. It's not a dash cam. I mean, it really is. I find that interesting. He gets a little defensive about that.
But all they need to know is in this vehicle, there was something that recorded a video and audio.
A video and audio. Now remember, the camera is only pointing towards the road, right? The audio is inside the car. So obviously there's not a camera, even though these, Uber drivers, some of the better, I don't know if it's the right word, but some of those more prestigious Uber drivers, they have, which is kind of maybe like their full-time job, they have, a dash camera, outside. They even have a dash camera inside. There's been a lot of TikTok videos of, some of these poor drivers getting attacked, and that's why they now have, cameras that are pointing out and in that way, to protect them.
Law enforcement has multiple sources to confirm everything, including voice and video.
Right here.
We went home for a little while.
And so they were at the house, they wound up with that.
And unloaded the groceries.
And so they were at the house, they wound up eventually leaving there, and they go to Strike and Spare. Or Thursday or Friday when I was on school or heard from my son.
Yeah,
Those details don't have any bearing in this.
Yeah.
The phone call was made, whether it was a FaceTime, a Zoom call,
the only reason,
a voice chat.
yeah, the only reason that I am curious.
Here's her talking about that phone call between like 9:30 and 11:45-ish or something like that.
Curious about that. It's just whether it was
Listen to that again.
Travel. I mean, we spend time on the phone daily because
be transparent with you. Yeah.
If there was something in there that they had an issue, they would have all.
So this is where I'm going to try to clean it up some better. And again, I apologize. I think about 50% of this subtitle is correct and 50% is off.
Already have gone down that route.
Well, I mean, I don't know anything.
If there was something in there that they had an issue, they would have already have gone down that route.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know.
Twitch Andrew says, can you please fill me in? I mean, there's a lot we'd have to go back over if you're not familiar with this case. But Sebastian Rogers out of Hendersonville, Tennessee, went missing on February 25th. He was kind of technically, as far as we know, the last proof of life is right here at Texas Roadhouse. Now, the mom claims that she made it home and that they had a camera in the car and which recorded audio inside the car. But then when she woke up at 6 a.m., he was missing. Yet that neighborhood, just about every other home, has one or more cameras. As a matter of fact, a quote from Seth Rogers himself, the father, the biological father, said that there's more cameras in that neighborhood than they do in the jailhouse that he worked at. So just keep that in mind. And yet he's not seen on a single one of those. But yet the proud feet want to put this narrative out that he just wandered off. Yet They have not found any clothing, no signs of a body, zilch. And this was one of the biggest searches that they have conducted. I forget the exact details. I know I've looked this up. But it is one of the biggest searches, definitely in Tennessee and beyond, in a long time. The amount of manpower, all the resources, helicopters, boots on the ground, drones, water searches, zilch. And this kid's allegedly walking around in pitch black, barefoot. It sounds ridiculous. And he's got to somehow get around all these cameras. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Anything about what law enforcement is thinking or what they're doing, you know as well as I do, they don't share that with me, and they don't have to, and I don't expect them to. Okay.
Oh, interesting. There's a clip somewhere, KP. Oh, yeah, great comment. Thank you. Interesting. So this is Life 360. Obviously, she has Apple. She has the Apple Watch. Now, I've never used this app. I kind of understand it, but it's an app that's on your phone. It's Life 360. And basically, it tracks your GPS. And it'll even track, like, where you stopped, all your trips, as you can see in this little diagram here. You could look up, like, the people that you're connected to that have that same program or whatnot. And you can kind of see in real time where they're at, as you can see in this left thing. But if you were to Google search, can you hack or change your location in Life 360? Well, there's 1,000 plus YouTube videos about how you can manipulate the app, which is kind of scary.
Life 360 app without even alerting the people in your circle. These instructions should work on both Android and iOS. So, without further ado, let's get
started.
started.
Worried about this music, but this guy goes and explains
sharing location via Life 360 app. With
how
Life
you can
360 Bubbles feature, you can create a temporary bubble to stop sharing your exact location.
So right here he
has
shows.
been changed to Cornell University on the software. Let's see if this
So
location
basically, in a nutshell, you can hook up a PC or laptop, whatever, with a certain program. I'm sure there's multiple programs. And you go into the app, and then you can actually mark out where you're at, even though you're not there, and then map out like where you've been. Okay, thank you, Hindsight. God bless you for all your work. I know you do a lot of work, Hindsight, behind the scenes and on social media. I really appreciate you. God bless you.
reflects on the Life 360 app or not. Now, let's open the Life 360 app.
So here he goes to show
doesn't change your GPS location on
that he's got the app running, but now he has that program, and he basically shows that
device, then restart the software and try again.
And even though he's at a home somewhere else, it now shows him, wherever he now has, manipulated the data.
Here it is. I'm in Cornell University without even stepping out of my place. This thing really works.
Most up-to-date information.
So now we move to building on this theory. Oh, Susan. Oh, with Asperger's, I feel bad for the children because not many know how to deal with them. Yeah, I can't imagine, what that would be like as a parent or guardian, to have to, have those extra responsibilities. So if you guys haven't seen it, I know most of you probably in here have, but there was something I caught, and now this kind of makes sense. And we're going to put this kind of theory all together, and hopefully, Sharon says, what's the point of the app if you can change it? It's nothing new, really. There's always something that comes out, and then there's always people looking to exploit it and, maybe even make money by introducing an app that's going to obviously manipulate the data or whatnot. So here we have the whole exchange with the green hoodie lady. And something that I caught, I think it was about 2 months ago, just kind of on accident, really. But remember, this green hoodie lady, we've learned more through At Night about where they talked to Texas Roadhouse and even said this wasn't a regular customer. And all this lady did was go to the women's restroom, didn't purchase anything, and walked right out. But of course, before she came in, she just happened to coincidentally be right by Katie's car and stood there for about a minute waiting for them to come out. The timing is super sus. And clearly Katie, instead of it looking like somebody's just trying to, get to Texas Roadhouse, from the street, and they're just walking between the cars because it's fairly narrow. And instead of Katie just standing there and kind of maybe waving her on to move through, she does not do that. She immediately goes to this green hoodie lady, which, in my opinion, shows that there's a good possibility she knows who this person is. So there's some kind of exchange, possibly. And then in my video, when I was really just trying to point out where that dash cam was, is when I saw Katie, and I would bet the farm on it, that here she goes down, she reaches down for something, and then bam, she is literally making that movement. It is clear as day, even though it's, the quality's not the best. But here you go. Here's kind of a zoomed in person. Look how she puts it in, and she turns her head just like if anybody's putting in a, an earbud. Literally turns the head, and that is, in my opinion, her putting in some kind of either wireless or likely wired headphone that is, in my opinion, could be connected to a cell phone that she was handed during this little exchange. Just in theory. But I think there's more to this than just a handoff. But in my opinion, we've done this before. And I think a lot of people agreed. I mean, that is definitely a motion of putting a headphone in your ear. One last time, she puts her seatbelt on. She'll reach down. It's tough to say. It looks like she's reaching into her hoodie pocket. Pull something out. She has it in her hand, and then bam. And you can see, of course, now it's not zoomed in at this point, but her head is turned, hand goes up. It looks exactly how anybody that would put a headphone in, an earbud. Again, and they're only going for a 15 or less minute drive, depending on traffic. So very interesting. And I think, in my opinion, and then there's the dash cam. It is sitting right here. It's not the rearview mirror, because obviously it's right above this sticker, handicap sticker. You can't see it. It actually kind of blocks her face. But once again, she is. Actually, I wish I would took this little line out because it blocks her face a little bit. But I would bet the farm she's putting in a headphone. Which means, was she handed a new phone, a burner phone? Now she's possibly talking to someone. Now remember, allegedly, the dash cam is obviously it can only record what's in front of them, right? But there is audio allegedly in the car. Now, I'm sure maybe if she's speaking to someone,
yesterday or the other,
it's in code. But then, I think, and this is where the full theory comes on, and again, this is a little bit based on, right now, some hearsay, so I just want to note that. It is something I've heard before, but I've heard Silver say it, and I don't want to put him on the spot, but I trust Silver's. But according to what happened, you know what? Let's see. Hold on. Let me play this part real quick. I skipped one thing. Oh, this is very important.
Noon at BJ's.
There were 2 of them. They showed him a video, Texas Roadhouse. They showed when they walked out of Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah.
He had seen a video of Sebastian at the fucking house Sunday night, taking the fucking trash out.
Right. From inside Michael.
And look how defensive he gets. And then watch what he does. Watch what Chris does. They're talking about the trash can, his last confirmed sighting, allegedly. Really, it's Texas Roadhouse until it's proved otherwise. But listen how he changes the subject.
Yeah. So, okay, so you guys
do you see the frustration where we have?
Yeah.
So now he's talking, see how frustrated it is. People are asking questions. Oh, my God.
I do.
Was made, whether it was on FaceTime.
We spend time on the phone.
Okay, let me find it here.
I mean, he's kind of just back and forth about things.
Already done.
Oh, maybe. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have.
Told him.
I know I marked this.
Thing.
Right.
Yeah. And we were home from.
Oh, here it is.
I do. But it's nice to have like a conversation with you instead of having to get everything, everywhere else. Definitely. And we went home straight from Texas Roadhouse. And we were home for approximately 15 minutes before he took the trash out. And he is on video, and the FBI was able to clear it up and confirm that it's him. Even though you can tell it's him from...
Right here. Listen to this. This is very important, and this will, add to the overall theory and just kind of putting some puzzles together, or pieces of the puzzle together to support this theory. But listen to what Katie says about what is on. Oh gosh, try and back that up right here.
Everywhere else. Definitely. And we went home straight from Texas Roadhouse. And we were home for approximately 15 minutes before he took the trash out. And he is on video, and the FBI was able to clear it up and confirm that it's him.
Right here.
Even though you can tell it's him from a mile away because of how he runs. It's
right here.
You can tell from his mannerisms. The second you look at it, it's him running, but still.
So.
And we were home for approximately 15.
So I'll explain what she says here. She basically says that after he's taken the trash, once he drops the trash can, he runs back to the home.
10 minutes before he took the trash out. And he is on video, and the FBI was able to clear it up and confirm that it's him. Even though you can tell it's him from a mile away because of how he runs, it's just, you can tell from his mannerisms. The second you look at it, it's him running, but still.
You can tell by his mannerisms, right? It's very specific, and it just makes me wonder if she knew that's... Because apparently he's seen on video from some of the videos before he went missing, from this same house on the left here, across the street. She had said she saw Sebastian on Saturday. He went to the mailbox and he was hopping and skipping to the mailbox, and then I don't know if he was hopping and skipping back, or something like that, right? So I'm sure she knew that was, and then that garbage can thing is like his thing, right? And so if he had like a routine where he takes the trash can and then he, being an excited little kid, he was running out. That's such a great question. I wonder if he had shoes on. That's a great question. I think it'd be too hard to say unless there was like some white on his shoes, because clearly this is nighttime mode, so anything white would kind of pick up more. That's such a great question. Okay, so now that we hear what she claims. And then don't forget that the porch light wasn't on, and I believe he came out of or allegedly this person came out of the front door and then went and grabbed the trash can and walked it out, and then they ran back. Mannerisms. Yes. So the theory is here, and we'll kind of get to it and show kind of the issue here. Let me skip it forward. So obviously this is the only thing we have, thanks to Fish Sticks. He couldn't have uploaded a video to give us a little more context of what the atmosphere was like and what it looked like inside in front of the house. I guarantee you, he did this exactly on purpose to have that damn trash truck right blocking, a good portion of the home. I don't think that was on accident at all. I think he was really trying to pause it because that front of the home would have been somewhere here, to show, trying not to show that porch light wasn't on, which it's usually always on. We just showed a clip where Silvers was literally driving past the neighborhood, and what do you know, the porch light's on. Okay. So I'm going to show you guys to scale, and then we'll put this whole theory together and then see what you guys kind of think. And do we know? Yeah, I think it's legit. I'll be honest. I don't know why he would just kind of release this. It all matches up with the home and everything. And he would look like a fool if this footage got out, because obviously I've got other footage. I don't have this footage, but who knows? Maybe one day I could, somebody get their hands on it. But yes, I always question, his motives. Because he's getting paid good money to, put out all the stops and bullshit and try to. So here's kind of to scale with that trash can, because you can kind of see the trash can in that photo. So here's me just kind of showing that, and then I'll explain what is the rumor. And again, I have to keep it as a rumor because we don't know. But this is, to me, if true, this is very disturbing. So this is the theory and one of the rumors out there. Sorry, I thought I had this going a little faster here. So that he comes out. Actually, I've got a better thing of it here. Okay. So here's the scale. So I kind of put the garbage can to scale. I think it might have even been a little bit smaller. But here's just a kind of scale of how big that shadow would be, right? Again, that's maybe not be 100% to scale, but I'd say it's fairly close. I'd probably make it maybe a tad smaller than that. But that's a good, example. So keep in mind, allegedly, the rumor has it, and I say rumor, is that this person had a hoodie on. And obviously, if you have the trash can in front of you, you're not going to really see much of the body type. And if you have a hoodie on, then, you can't really tell glasses or anything, because obviously it's dark, hair, right? So we have this person pushing it out, and obviously it comes from back here, which makes you wonder if these lights were even on at that time. And then, coincidentally, after they pulled the trash can out, that person, if allegedly in a hoodie, then runs back to the home. And that's where Katie puts out that whole thing of, oh, you could tell it's Sebastian because of his mannerisms. So I thought that was very interesting. Thank you so much. And again, I don't want to take all the credit because this is really kind of, putting things that everybody else is together. I'm just kind of putting it in visual form. But again, this goes credit to so many people. I don't want to miss somebody. But let's put this whole theory together now. Like, how would this kind of work? And how does this fit in with the 3M lights? Because, I definitely something went down with the 3M lights. Yeah, and what's funny is 15 minutes, it does take 15 minutes from Texas Roadhouse to the home. But she clearly claims that it's 15 minutes after they got home. So, here we see Katie and Sebastian, and it appears she does have a hoodie, some kind of hoodie. I could be wrong. Let me know in chat if anybody knows for sure, but it does look like there's kind of the hood draped back because there's a little bit more volume right here. It doesn't look natural. I could be wrong. It may not be a hoodie. I'm sure Katie's got hoodies. I'm sure both do. Who wouldn't? Yeah, I think so too. I've looked at that, Margaret. I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate because it does look like one tail light's out, but I think that is just a bad perspective of it. Again, I'm not perfect. I could be wrong on that. I've ran a lot of stuff on that. So let's put this all together, right? So let's say after Texas Roadhouse, she gets, let's see, where am I putting this? Okay. So at Texas Roadhouse, we have the incident with her meeting up with Green Hoodie Lady. And of course, there's a whole backstory to that. They have no idea who this lady is. She's not a regular. She didn't pay for anything. She went to the bathroom, came right back out. I think, in my opinion, and then that this will come full circle to explain combined with the 3M lights, that what could have happened. So here is where Texas Roadhouse is. Make sure I got it aligned right. So we have Texas Roadhouse, right? Now there's two main ways you could go. You can take up the New Shackle Road that takes you up here, which is 13 to 15 minutes, kind of depending on traffic. There's also this road as well, which is 1 or 2 minutes, a little bit more. I think my theory is when that green hoodie showed up. Oh, there's some questions, so I'll have to kind of pause and let me get this theory out, and then I'll read your guys' chat. I think that green hoodie lady gave her confirmation, yes, I've got a vehicle, somebody that's set up, maybe, along one of these roads where there's, maybe a stop or something like that. Again, I haven't had enough time to really look at it, but, that's probably not the best. But somewhere where there's going to be a stop. I don't know if a major intersection would be good, but, something like even here. Because remember, the camera is only pointing forward outside. It's not in the car, so it's only seeing this. Yes, there is audio inside the car, but, what if she is coming up down one of these roads and, this is, just in theory, at halfway or 3/4 of the way there, she gets to somewhere where you're going to be stopping, and there's another car that is ready, that green hoodie relayed to her, like, hey, this is where we're going to be at. She gets the cell phone. She has to burn her cell phone. They're giving her, like, hey, this is where we're at. We're parked here. Everything looks good. It's kind of quiet on this road. And then they get about 3/4 of the way home, find an area where, they get to a stop or something like that. And it looks natural because, remember, the camera's only facing outside. Yes, there's audio inside, but maybe she cranks on the music and Sebastian, maybe it's somebody Sebastian knows, extended family member or something, and says, oh, hey, this person's going to take you home or whatever. I've got to go do something, yada, yada, yada. And he is now, has been transferred. And then, just like clockwork, she continues back home. So nothing out of the ordinary, then other than a stop and a quick get him out, right? With somebody maybe he knows. And, there's already a narrative of why he, that she tells Sebastian or whatever. Or maybe she told him before they got in the car, like, hey, someone's going to be picking you up because I may have to go do something else or whatever. And he, goes along with it, not knowing something bad's going to happen. So he gets switched out, right? So now, then she returns home. Then we need someone to look like Sebastian taking out the trash, right? Sorry, let me get to this. And I will read chat. I'm going to stop and read chat here in just a minute. But I just want to get this out and get your guys' thoughts. And like you said, you hear in that interview, she goes out of her way to say, like, yeah, you could tell it's him from a mile away. You could tell his mannerisms. And he allegedly ran after he took that, trash can out. And again, if you look at now, yeah, I know Katie's a little bigger than Sebastian, but when you look when they're walking out, let's see, right here is a good kind of example. She's not much taller than him. Yeah, she's got a little bit more weight to her, not a lot, but again, not much taller. You throw a hoodie on her. Obviously, anybody with the bigger hoodie is going to look bigger, and you might not know their size. And she could easily just walk that trash out and then run, pretending to be that she's Sebastian. But now here comes the issue, and here comes in why the 3M thing needs to happen. Because now if he was switched out, remember, he's got his newer shoes on. Because remember, I think he had 3 pairs of shoes. I think he had newer shoes, a pair of boots, and maybe an older one. Okay, I'm gonna get to check because there's some really good stuff in there. But let me finish this theory. So remember, obviously, because all of his shoes are accounted for. So obviously, if he was switched out, I doubt they're gonna undress him before he gets switched out because that'd be really sus and that would take a lot of time. So I think that was really quick. But obviously, we need his shoes, at the very least his shoes, and that shirt, that Yoda shirt that he's wearing. Definitely the shoes most important. I think the Levi's and socks, obviously, I'm sure he's probably got a bunch of pairs of Levi's. They wouldn't, that could pass. But now we need to get those back, right? Those need to be back at the home. So I think after she fakes pulling out the trash can, then she does the whole light, turning on his light at 9:00, turn on his light and then kicking it off at 9:08, and then a kitchen light on or whatever, dining room, sometime I think around 11 or whatever, and then 11:45 the light goes out, just like clockwork. So funny that some of the timestamps they have, those are like spot on, coincidentally. So now they've got to get those items. Definitely the shoes, the most important thing, and that shirt. So I think then now they've got to send somebody with those articles of clothing to get back to their home. And so I think that's where the 3 a.m. lights come into, where now they're going out to meet up with this car, and they get the clothing, right? And then boom, if anybody else sees this, they're not going to see Sebastian getting put in a car. It just looks like somebody's grabbing some clothes or whatever. And then you have that person running back to the Proudfoot home. And that theory, it's not a bad theory.
Sticks with you becoming.
So one of the subjects moving.
Let me read chat because I see a lot of some interesting thoughts, but that does sound. I mean that holds a lot of weight. With some of the evidence we have. Again, I would love to be able to say like 100% we know that person was wearing a hoodie. If that's true, then we see him at the Texas Roadhouse. He's not wearing a hoodie. And obviously he's only going to put out the trash can and then run back in. So not to say he wouldn't put on a hoodie, right? Playing devil's advocate, but kind of strange that he gets back and allegedly gets back, but now there's this hoodie on. Allegedly. Again, allegedly. So yeah. I think that's a decent theory, and it almost, I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I think, if you pull that off, it really adds more to the green hoodie, that she's kind of saying, hey, we've got this person set up here on this street. Here is a burner phone with you being able to, listen to them communicating. You could probably just be listening to, what their experience or, where they're at, and if there's any, people in the area, and she slowly makes her way, speaks to Sebastian. So you have audio of Sebastian for most of the drive. And then she gets to a stop that's close to the home, and it just looks like a normal stop. And then, Sebastian is forced out of the car. And then now the final step is to get those shoes, at the very least those shoes, and his likely shirt back, at the very least. Maybe the jeans too, but I would think the shoes and the shirt would be the most important, because I'm sure they would probably want to look for that. So At Night has put out some interesting stuff. If you haven't heard, this came out, I think, 3 days ago. I'm not going to play the whole thing. But let's read some of the comments real quick and see what you guys think. I heard my phone go off, but I want to read your chat.
Sebastian's medication, his phone.
This gives a little bit of insight of what they're doing with At Night. I'm not going to play this entire thing. I'm just going to play a few highlights, but I want to read chat here as well. But one of the things they talk about is they're allegedly boots on the ground allegedly in Kentucky and Mississippi, I believe, following up on some potential leads. So kind of interesting if he was trafficked. So yeah.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're looking at the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, 15 years old, from Hendersonville, Tennessee. This was back in February 2024.
Right. And it's become one of those cases that just sticks with you because the core facts are so stark.
Exactly. Her goal here is really to pull apart the central mystery, that initial scene, and then trace how things fractured, how the official investigation kind of stalled while this whole private intelligence effort exploded.
And it starts right there at the scene. The sources describe it as almost sterile. Sebastian's medication, his phone, his money, all left behind.
No sign of a break-in, nothing disturbed. It's like he just vanished from inside the house.
Oof, yeah. And the time frame is incredibly narrow.
The mother, Katie Proudfoot, reported hearing a loud noise like a bang from his room around 10 p.m. She called out to him.
Yes, called out, and he apparently responded. Said he was okay.
I'm but by 6 a.m. the next morning, 2 seconds, guys. I'm not going anywhere.
And the detail that makes that initial scene so haunting is the shoes.
Ah, yes, the shoes. Or lack thereof. Allegedly, all his shoes were still in the house.
Which is significant because the sources we have, consistently say Sebastian really disliked being barefoot. Hated it, apparently.
So the picture is a teenager who hates bare feet, walking out into a cold February night with no shoes. It immediately flags something's off.
Right. It doesn't fit a typical runaway scenario, especially not in those conditions.
Yet, the initial official response, it felt like they were leaning towards him wandering off, maybe in distress. The scale was huge.
Oh, massive. You had, 2,000 searchers covering 44,000 acres. FBI, TBI, everyone was involved from the get-go.
And they used some specific tactics, didn't they? Like blasting his favorite song.
Yeah, Eye of the Tiger. That's classic FBI behavioral analysis playbook stuff.
What does that tell us? What were they thinking?
It suggests they were considering possibilities like maybe a severe mental health crisis, a dissociative state, even...
Okay, so I'm going to pause that. I'm going to read chat. Somebody just sent me something, so I want to look this up real quick. And we'll get to chat. I'm just curious. Hindsight sent me something, and oh my gosh, if this is the one I'm looking for, oh my gosh, it'd be amazing.
HitPaw Edamacore. It is an AI-powered video editor. You can effortlessly...
Barbara Walters on ABC talking about O.J. Simpson.
We'll get clips.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just no. I have one biological child in this world. One. And the hide.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, he said you. It has nothing to do with finding my son.
Either one. I don't like Mexicans. I don't like
I'll have to go over this. I'm not sure. Is this the phone call hindsight that I'm looking for? Maybe it's in there. It's a 2-hour live show. Thank you, hindsight. I will look over that. Let me know in chat if that's the one you're looking for. Okay, real quick. So I can get caught up here. Anna Sweden, nice to see you live, Chris. Thank you so much for the wonderful donation. God bless you. Chris, you're so amazing. I'm lucky to know you. That goes likewise. Thank you, Fly Girl, for all the loving support. 17 months. It's so amazing. God, time flies. But your love and support has been amazing. Still loving the mob crew. Thank you, Lady Roses, and thank you for the 8 months. God bless. Okay, 111. Let me write that down, actually. Okay, I will look at that. God bless you if that is the phone call I'm looking for. Because what I want to do, again, I'm going to read some more chat, is what I want to do is on that phone call, because there's some very interesting stuff, but again, there's areas, and I didn't even play it all. I mean, I did last time, but there's more that I could enhance. I can't enhance everything, but there's some stuff. I mean, there's parts where even Chris and Katie go at it. Chris is, yeah, very interesting. So there's definitely a lot more to enhance, and then it would be nice to upload it as just a regular video. No commentary. That way I could upload it, maybe put subtitles, and then the parts where I can't really understand, maybe, within the comments. People are so great at kind of, because I don't have the best hearing, and it'd be interesting to see what people point out, because I think there is some more nuggets in that interview, that phone call with the PI. So let me see if I can. Oh shoot! It won't let me go up any higher. Dang it! Won't let me go up any higher. The footage that CTB showed that at 9 p.m. looks like taking down cameras in pure dark. Also looks like Craddock there helping remove them. Oh, whoa, what? Oh, I wonder when this happened, lady. Interesting. CBT show. I would definitely like to see. Notice that Katie was dressed in all black dark colors. Even double checked there was a black shirt under her dark hoodie. Yeah. Great observation, right? Sorry. Yeah, I mean, these are all dark clothes. She's got that dark.
All we can tell you is, that's why I asked you, what did you exactly know? Thanks.
Yeah, she's walking away. It looks like she's kind of got some darker pants on. Yeah, so that is interesting. Makes more sense than anything than Magic escaping on. Yeah. Again, just thinking about walking around barefoot, pitch black, not stepping on rocks and tripping on things and getting cut. I can't. And then you're gonna avoid, as Seth said it, and I've shown kind of an example of how many cameras, approximately there were just in that neighborhood. And, some of these homes not just have one camera, they have multiple cameras. And this kid wasn't seen on a single one that night. I mean, what does that tell you? Yes, Neuro. Yeah, great point. Right. Yep. Great. Yep. Yeah, and he makes a weird suggestion about, oh, you could bury a body in concrete. Yeah, very disturbing. Oh, sorry. I'm getting a lot. A lot of people are chatting. I've suspected for months that it was actually Katie who took the trash out, quickly wearing all black with hoodie. Yeah. Again, I can't say that's 100% true. I've heard that rumor a couple times. But I heard, now I don't want to put Silvers on the scene on the spot. He mentioned it in his video. And I know Silvers to be, someone who isn't just going to spout out just random stuff. Now, it could be, it's always possible he could have been told something and it's wrong, and that's not his fault. But, I have heard that rumor before, and maybe that's something they've kind of wanted to keep tight-lipped. But, man, if that's true, that really more backs up the theory that he didn't make it home, and it adds more to this whole interaction. I think that this lady here was just kind of a middleman, or whatever you want to say, or a messenger who may have even given Katie a burner phone and a headpiece to give instructions of where the exchange would be on the way back to Texas Roadhouse. And then, of course, with the camera facing outward, no one would be none the wiser. And if they hear Sebastian talking 3/4 of the way, then, you can say, hey, look, he's in the car. And then the whole Life 360, we went over how that's can easily be manipulated. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Silvers. There's a lot. But, yeah, I love Silvers. Great man. Yeah, and the trash can was a little bit heavier than usual, right? Have you seen the other video, The Perfect Exchange, the parking lot behind the bushes? I have dissected my own video on, where you kind of see Green Hoodie kind of moving around back there. Maybe there's something going on back there. It's hard to say. It's always possible for sure.
2,000 searchers covering 44,000 acres. FBI, TBI, everyone was involved from the get-go.
And they used some specific tactics, didn't they? Like blasting his favorite song.
Yeah, Eye of the Tiger.
Like
a major. What was the two main things?
There was nothing left behind in the first place. That's the question hanging.
Physical ones.
Right. And this is where we see a real potential involving a 30,000 new operation. Our mission today, it's a tough one, but really important. We're analyzing the sources on the baffling disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. Remember, he vanished from a home.
This constant stream of
8 days after he disappeared, and then almost immediately,
and public suspicion rushed stepson, who is at that point
Cancun, Mexico. That kind of evidence proper review.
Exactly. But the search itself, it doesn't wait for bureaucratic decisions. And it leaves you with a really important question.
So I'm just trying to get this one point.
Totally it was. It started with an anonymous photo, looked like a makeshift tent or...
Wow. So a digital footprint.
Exact.
Okay, so that's worrying. But things escalated.
In Mexico. Ransom demand, international ally reaching out to local... It felt like a critical failure oversight of the entire case.
Citing these investigations.
$500,000. 500
Listeners have the details for awareness.
professional private activism. Do we actually need to, bureaucratic delivery, proper all this whole
Physical. Okay, that's
okay. So
incredibly
anyway,
specific and serious, not just.
I'm sure I'll find it a second. I'm not live in this, and if I can, I'll put a link if you're curious about it. It's in Facebook groups. It's in Twitter. It's from At Night. I think they even have a YouTube channel now. That's it was posted on Twitter, but I think it's on their channel as well. But they kind of talk about their investigative stuff. The main thing I would say what's interesting is they say that they came in on October 4th, I believe, and they're boots on the ground in Kentucky and Mississippi, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. And they're following up on some leads. So hopefully that's true. And, maybe, there's validity to their whatever leads, evidence, whatever tips that they got that made them go to those two states. So here's to hopeful and wishful thinking that they, if he is there, they find him, and hopefully he is alive. But at the very least, they've got him, they're out there. One last thing. Oh, I don't know if I can find that video, but maybe I'll save that for next time, is talking about the big issue about how they don't, how some of these experts with search and rescue say, like, how Crispy's like, we don't mind, if you have some independent researchers going out there and searching, that's not a good thing. You clearly have the money. You don't have to do it yourselves, but, the one thing that the stink feet have that a lot of other families that have children or teenagers or whatever, a family member that goes missing, well, the thing they have to deal with a lot of the times is the person that goes missing. Sorry, I was trying to find something. The person that goes missing doesn't go missing in their own neighborhood, right? Aiden Kloon case. The mother lives in California. He went missing in Nevada. So she can only go out once a year, maybe twice a year. She's not made of money to go out and search for a weekend, right? Where they have literally, right where, they're at ground zero of where allegedly he disappeared. How in the hell are they not, at the very least, got, like a PR or something, or somebody, a specialist that is bringing in teams and redoing the search? If they believe that is what happened, he walked out there. He cannot be far if he's barefoot, unless he was taken, right? But if he's out there, he couldn't go very far. I'm no expert, but I think without having shoes, that's really gonna, and you're in pitch black. I think you're likely to get injured somehow. Oh, there's one more thing I was gonna add to this. But again, they have this luxury where Dylan Rounds, he went missing in Northwest Salt Lake, where his parents lived in Idaho. Now, of course, they're a little bit closer than the Aiden Kloon case, but still, it wasn't. They weren't at ground zero. Here, they're at ground zero, and where's the searches, right? Okay, thank you, Heights. I appreciate you looking that up. God bless you. Oh, there's one more other thing I was going to touch on this. So let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? Do you guys think they're just going to wait for that anniversary again to pop up and do an interview to kind of show their face? Or do you think that they're going to start doing what, in my opinion, John Ramsey does, and he, shows up for a few years, and this is, in relation to John Benet Ramsey case, which I think the son did it. I think it was an accident. I think they all panicked and covered it up and are going to try to take it to the grave. But I think that poor girl deserves justice. But, John Ramsey just all of a sudden, he just kind of disappeared in late 2012 or 2016. I'd have to look up the dates now. I don't want to get them all wrong. No, he disappeared after 2012. He did not appear until 2016. Then he appeared a couple of years after that, back to back. And then there was another 5-year gap. And then that's when he started pushing this whole DNA. Oh, we got DNA, getting people riled up. And then it was misleading in the beginning because saying we got an unidentified male DNA. And it turns out, well, no, this DNA is actually more than just one person. It's multiple people. It's very minute. And it could be transferred DNA from people that manufactured the underwear or underpants or whatever. So, and it drives me nuts. So I'd be curious to know what's going to happen. Are they going to just do the anniversary and then eventually we'll just stop seeing them? And then, of course, any mother, I'm sure all of you in here, if you had a child, whatever family member, especially a child, go missing, you are going to be out there 24/7 till you get some kind of resolution, clarity. But not these people. They're out there shopping. I think Katie's got a new vehicle. They've been spotted all around town. Multiple people been taking pictures. They're out there shopping, having the time of their life. Remember, Sebastian, before he went missing, for almost a year, he was literally a wedge. Chris and Katie could not be together unless it was Seth Rogers' weekend, and then Katie would go, out of town to go see Chris, and then have to come back. Chris could not be at the house. And then we have the CPS reports. And then there was, I think, 50 weeks, something like that, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, of where Sebastian was writing down stuff that he experienced at home. Sadly, he didn't convey that to his father. Such tragic. Now the father has to read all that stuff about what happened. And yeah, it is just clear as day, the biggest motive. He is the wedge. And of course, he can't get into the school. Seth can't get him fast enough. And they're impatient and they're evil. Allegedly. Yeah, motorcycle shopping, lizard shopping, other places, I don't want to say because I have some inside sources, but spotted with Faith, which is disgusting. It makes me so sick because what if she overhears a conversation about if they did something bad? What if they have a conversation? They don't think Faith can hear it, but Faith hears it, and then they find out. Well, if they're capable, or at least one of them are capable of possibly taking a life. Even just doing this, human trafficking, they're capable of anything. So what's to say we don't have a repeat of, history repeats itself. It blows me away. Disney World, new vehicle, all that good stuff. Absolutely wild. Yeah, a lot of people. Looks like a lot of people agree he didn't make it back. I agree. I feel like I'm like 50-50, almost 60-40, almost more towards, because it still all lines up. And then the last thing is, we know that vehicle had I don't know if I got the footage in this one. Let's see, do I have it? Yeah. We know this vehicle shows up twice, and then it's just coincidental that this piece of crap PI stink fish sticks claims, oh, I know who that driver is. Yeah, he's always there. And it's just so funny that, this car kind of shows up twice, the night he disappeared, and then one more time after, almost to kind of solidify that narrative that, oh, this is kind of normal for this car. Yet then that car is not seen again, at least for a few more nights from the footage that I've got. So, yeah, very, very interesting. Yeah, exactly, Brenda. Yeah, so true. Hindsight. Oh, yep, I got that one. Okay, I got that one. Thank you, Kiki. Good to see you. And then, of course, we have the Sheriff Craddock. Let's finish up here, but we have Sheriff Craddock doing his... I haven't really looked into the... Oops. Jesus. Craddock? No, it's Craddock. Sheriff Craddock. Let's see. New election. Where is that one? Or campaign. That's what I want. Campaign. New campaign. That's what it was. New campaign. Yeah, 1 week ago. So here's our boy right there. Yeah. Mr. Sheriff Snuggle Struggle here, doing his campaign. So I'm hoping everybody, who is out that way, sees that he didn't pull his weight. He don't care about Sebastian. Get him out of there. This was it, 2026? Right, when he's got to fight for a new term. I'm not much of a political person, so. But yeah. Get him out of there. Get him out of there. Get somebody that wants to, Oh, yeah. And then Pigfest. Yeah. And, of course, who fits into Pigfest. Of course, Mr. Crispy himself, And then one last thing, of course.
It has been 453 days.
This is...
I want to say, boy, if I'm with the special police.
Yeah, so that's the stepfather. That's how serious he's taken his stepson's disappearance. He's mocking the father, showing up on podcasts, instead of using that time to maybe thank people that have been out there independently searching, actually maybe just, why don't you spend some time going out there and looking, right? That wouldn't hurt you. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, a lot of people backing up that theory. I do, and hopefully maybe we can find some more to back that up. But it really adds to that whole thing that I caught with her putting in that earpiece. You know, of course, you could always argue both sides to that. But, you know, kind of interesting. And I do think that green hoodie lady, clearly from what At Night has said, with, you know, bringing proof that clearly the people at Texas Roadhouse have no idea who that green hoodie lady was. Not a regular patron, somebody they have no idea who, you know. Very suspicious. Mama Bear says, I think Sebastian made it home. I believe law enforcement would say if he didn't due to Life 360 proof, the thud in his bedroom, flashlights running with an awaiting car. I mean, it's always possible. But I think it never hurts to look at, you know, multiple sides, you know, not to get, you know, tunnel vision on one scenario. And, you know, look at other possibilities, and then how does that fit into the overall picture of everything that we know. But yeah, I definitely think there is a narrative there that puts that all together. So now that I have a lot of people in here, I just want to thank everybody that supports this channel, memberships, patrons. I apologize. I wish my health was better. It's just good days and bad days. I really need to make up for this month because this is my first live since this month, so I've got a lot of work. But the phone call is my first thing, and thanks to hindsight, hopefully that'll help. Hopefully get that out tomorrow. The goal is to do lives just about every day around the same time. I'm not going to say I'm going to be there every day because I just don't know. But then again, and then always thank you to those that, you know, supported me through PayPal, Venmo, and or the GoFundMe. Of course, I always try to thank each individual and send them a message. I don't know if everybody gets that unless you like have the app or something, but I could not be more grateful. It has been a huge help. I'll probably run it till about the end of this month. At least gotten half of the goal, and even if that's all that is, I am super grateful for the love and support you guys give me. And then I just want to say thank you to my wonderful, lovely mods, D, Jennifer, Sensei. I know sometimes Jocelyn, she's working, and Jazz, a lot of these mods, sometimes have multiple channels they're helping out. So I am truly grateful for not only the mods, but for you guys just to take the time to come in and share your thoughts and spend time with me. I appreciate that hindsight, and thank you for all the work you've done. Yeah, I do too. I did get a blood panel yesterday. It was a nightmare. It did get done, but oh my God, that office that I went to, it was a mess. Oh, it was a nightmare. My GoFundMe, Valerie, it's in the link. It should be in the link in this description below. I mean, I really don't. I want to push it too much. I don't want to force it down people's throats, but I will just because you asked for it. I'll put it up here just one time, but it's, again, I'm grateful for what's been donated as so far, and it's at the very least about half my goal, and I'd be grateful if it, just for what I've got. But I'll just put it one last time in there just for if you want it. But I only ask people that actually can afford it. To donate, but there it is. Right there's the link. I do want to do something. I don't know how I'm going to do it because I know some people like anonymous, and of course it gives your full name, and so I know people don't want their full names out there. So I don't know. I'll have to figure out a way to, again, I think everybody individually on that app. So I try to do that, but I don't know. I'll have to kind of think of something, when we kind of get towards the end. Because I don't think I'll run it more than till the end of October, and then, yeah. So, neck surgery. Oh, I hope that goes well, Angela. Oh, geez, neck. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. Just reading chat. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I did see the doctor, but again, it's just trial and error and being a guinea pig. That's all I can do. But so last thing, yeah, the phone call, I am going to enhance it. There is more in that, I promise you. I didn't get a chance. I wanted to play. There's a little bit in there. You can definitely tell there's some, could be some tidbits that, they're not going to break the case, but just, I think there's some tidbits because it gets really soft, and I really need to spend a little bit more time on that. But I am going to upload it just by itself so people can go in there and say, oh, this is what I hear on this timestamp, because I know there's going to be parts where I cannot decipher what's being said. But, when you have a community like this, you guys will definitely, I'm sure, crack it or get close to the best what is being said. Yeah, exactly. No, don't worry. Do not worry. You just being here, Marie, and to anybody else that, is not in the best financial situation, please, just being here and spending time with me means the world. God bless you guys. And let's see. Oh, I wanted to pull up his poster at the end. Oh, I don't know where I had it. Anyway, I'm just going to leave this poster at the end here. Oh, there's a transcript. I'm sure it's not going to be 100%, just considering, unless Josh ran it through the, enhanced it. And even if he enhanced it, I don't know if you'd get it 100%. I could be wrong, though. But I appreciate that hindsight so much. God bless, because, yeah, that is my next video. But here it is. Here's the, all the details. And again, one day, we will, all of a sudden, we'll get messages, tweets, whatever. There'll be a break in the case. It's a matter of time. May take 1 year, may take more, maybe less. It will happen. And those responsible will get justice. And with that, I love you guys. I'm hoping I'll be back on tomorrow. I can't promise it because I keep saying that I'm going to be on the next day, and then I get issues with my stomach, and then I'm out. So I will try as hard as I can to be on tomorrow. And at the very least, I'll have a video as well. So with that, and I'm working on my Patreon and members as well. That's my next thing. So with that, thank you to everybody. I love Halloween. We'll try to maybe do some other cases as well, but the main one, Sebastian, Daniel Robinson, and I think maybe we might touch on the serial killer. Maybe we'll do like a vote and see where, because there's a lot of different stuff going on right now. We got the Houston stuff. Obviously I'm not going to touch on the ICE stuff. It's just terrible, and I think it just riles everybody up. So with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. God bless you guys. I love